Hi everyone. So I'm gonna hold the mic like this because it's very windy here and I want to have good audio for you. Hopefully this helps. Also, I seem to be surrounded by this beautiful patch of green with cute little flowers. I'll try to get a photo for you, but that means there's also a lot of bee pollinators and I might be allergic. So hopefully they're gonna be nice to me if I'm nice to them. So today I want to talk about something that has kind of been building up in the last couple of months. It's now been 2 years since my last trip abroad, and I'm starting to get highly sensitive person, high sensation seeking cabin fever, like big time. So being a highly sensitive, high sensation seeking person, it basically means that I'm always trying to find a balance between being understimulated and overstimulated. So being overly bored or overly overwhelmed. I find myself very easily antsy, anxious, like there's not enough to pique my mind, to stimulate my thinking, to, like especially novelty. When I get stuck in the same routine day after day, after day after day, I kind of feel like my brain cells are just wasting away. Like neural pathways are actually decreasing in activity. And so your brain health gets improved with more stimulation and novelty. But for different people, different personalities, the threshold is different. And so for me as a high sensation seeker, I need a lot more in order to feel satisfied. But I'm also highly sensitive and easily overwhelmed and overstimulated. So I'm also easily depleted, burnt out. So it's just really hard to strike a balance. About 2 years ago, I went on a vacation in the States. I kind of traveled by car, did car camping mostly. It was very adventurous. I definitely overdid it and I didn't stay in one place long enough, so I overstimulated myself. But, I was on the trip for 5 weeks and that, was supposed to last me a long time because I knew I probably wouldn't be making a trip anytime soon. But it's now been 2 years and I'm starting to feel a strong, desperate sense of what you might call cabin fever, I guess. Is just such a strong urge of irritability and needing to find something new to inspire me, to stimulate me. Yeah, I guess part of that is that I'm living in Curacao, which, is really not that big of an island. And we do encounter some kind of limited mentality because even though we are an international hub in many ways, we're also very small town minded. So sometimes it just feels too small. Okay, so why is this such a big deal? I mean, plenty of people spend many years in one place without getting agitated or restless. For me, I feel like a lack of particularly creative inspiration. I have a lot of ideas that I would like to actualize and explore, and yet I don't have a big network here to explore them with. So creatively, I have a lot of limitations. I've lived in California for a year, so I know how different things can be. I mean, in Los Angeles, I was overwhelmed by the amount of creativity and inspiration. There's so many things to do and interact with and expose yourself to. So it's like the opposite end of the spectrum compared to here. So I guess since I know that it's possible and what my optimal level of input and mental stimulation is, it's kind of hard for me to go back and just be satisfied with being here and kind of taking it easy, island style. Every day I wake up ambitious, ready to go, and then I realize, yeah, but how, what, who, where? It just feels like a dead end every day. And so that kind of bottles up. And so yesterday, after I got turned down for an audition, I had kind of a meltdown because I was really looking forward to being a part of the project, and I'd already had like 2 callbacks, and so I was pretty optimistic that I could land the role. And I don't get a lot of auditioning opportunities here because there aren't a lot of big productions. So my options are very limited. And so when I learned that I wouldn't be a part of that project, I just had this moment of like, so what really do I have going for me here right now, creatively? And creativity fuels my soul. So without it, I literally feel like I'm soul dead. So for a moment, I felt pretty hopeless. And I have all the tools to not linger in that hopelessness. But I have to admit, it took me longer than I wished to get myself out of a really bad headspace. And my first thought in that moment when it all came crashing down was just, God, I need to get myself off of this island. But as a freelance, struggling artist, I don't really have the finances to get off this island as much as I would like to. So I've kind of chosen a lifestyle in which I have the freedom to make my own hours and live the life that I want to, but at the same time, it also restricts me in other ways. And so there's this dichotomy that I live with, which I kind of imprison myself, and it's tough. And I'm pretty good at coping most days, but sometimes it just gets too much. So in order for this not to be a completely hopeless video, let me share with you what I normally kind of do to keep my brain from atrophying and relentless boredom from overtaking my life. So for years, I fought routine because I thought routine caused boredom, but I realized that I'm more productive when I have some basic routine in my life. So I've actually been adding more and more routine to my life, which makes me more productive in the areas that I want to be, freeing up more space to have more time available for my adventures. I also use my many Instagram accounts as creative outlets and my YouTube channels. And I try to have some active collaborations, like my most recent collaborations with a very talented photographer on the island. I'll try to share some more of that in the community tab. And I do a lot of reading. I'm trying to work on speed reading because I'm a very slow reader, so I don't read as many books as I would like to, but I get so much stimulation from enriching my brain with deep dives into all of the subject matter that I'm deeply interested in. So those are some of the things that I use to keep my brain stimulated. But then on the other side of that is that I keep getting burnt out on my social media, and then I don't post for a whole month because I just can't get myself to do it. So even though there's this constant desire to want to interact and create, I also sometimes seem to have an empty well, and so I can't satisfy my own thirst. And I know that that stems from not having true inspiration around me. And so that is a desperation that builds up over time until I feel like I can no longer stay here. I have to do something or my soul will sink into a deep coffin. I know that sounds very gloomy, but it really feels that heavy. So while I do have a lot of tools in place to help me cope with the mental stagnation, sometimes it just gets too much. And I don't know, maybe you guys have some tips that you want to share with the community. I know that if I've gone through it, chances are some of you have gone through it as well. So please share your notes, share your wisdom. Let's help each other out. But on a slightly more positive note, as of late, I've been using Gemini, not ChatGPT, to try and get my life more organized so that I can produce more videos. I'm trying for 2 videos a month. Hopefully I'll get back to 4 videos a month. But I really want to get back to this channel in a more active way and immerse myself in the highly sensitive person, intentional living lifestyle with you guys. So lately I've been feeling a shift in my channel. It started as an all-around lifestyle channel, and then it focused on high sensitivity. And now I'm feeling more inclined to share about intentional living, slow living as a whole, because I feel like for the general highly sensitive person, we prefer more slow living life choices, I guess. because it prevents us from being overstimulated all the time in this overwhelming world. So I'm going to be diving deeper into that aspect of this kind of lifestyle. So please feel free to share in the comments what intentional living topics you might want to hear about, so I can have some inspiration for my future videos. And just to curb your expectations, it's not going to be one of those like super flowy, minimalistic, slow living kind of vibes. I'm just going to be real, and my life is not perfect. And even though I aspire to be more minimalistic and to have more slow living vibes, my living space, for example, is a complete clutter because I'm an artist and everything is always everywhere. It's an organized mess until I clean it, and then it stays clean for like a week at most. So I'm gonna share it in a more relatable, real, and raw manner. Because sometimes we don't have the mental capacity or the luxury or the resources to live the exact life that we want to live. But if you know how to live your life optimally for your specific needs, then you can start thinking about the things that you do have control over now. And so you can optimize your life within your capacity. And that's the journey that I would like to take you on. So stick around and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. I appreciate your support and I hope you found it valuable. I always forget to introduce myself, but hey, I'm Shannon and welcome to my channel. Now let's film some bees and take some photos. So enriching my brain cells with blah,